Welcome back to the Common Fan Podcast. Thanks for joining us as always, Husker Nation. I am TJ Burkle with Matty Owens Sr. and Geoff in Lincoln. Quick reminder to follow the podcast on your streaming platform of choice. Follow us on Twitter at CommonFanGBR. Send us an email with your questions, comments, or culinary suggestions to commonfangbr@gmail.com. And of course, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. The Common Fan Podcast is also now on YouTube. So please make sure to find us on YouTube and hit that subscribe button so you can not only listen, but also watch to see Geoff in Lincoln's mustache in all its glory. Our guest today was a 4-year starter on the Nebraska basketball team and was a captain for 3 of those years. He had 901 career points, 284 career assists, and he started 98 games in his distinguished career. We are, of course, talking about current Husker Hoops radio analyst Jake Muhleisen. Jake, thanks so much for joining the Common Fans today.
Hey, thanks, guys. I didn't know I was a 99 points short of 1,000, so thanks for the reminder, I guess.
We do what we can. We do what we can.
And we had to have some stats. So we know how you love to read stats, Jake.
I will read stats for as long as you guys would like, and I know I can do a good job of that at least.
Jake, I lost to you enough times over the years. I'm happy to remind you anytime that you were 99 points short of 1,000.
That's fun. I appreciate that. Especially talking to 3 pious guys is kind of scary here. I'll tell you what.
It's funny you mentioned that. I wanted to ask you, you had a distinguished playing career at the Division I level. I mean, you're a legend, you're a Husker legend, a legend in Lincoln, really very successful in every facet of your life. Is it fair to say that all of your success is the result of having to compete against St. Pius X Central Catholic High School during your high school playing days, or maybe 95% of your success?
I would say at least 99%, guys. Let's just call a spade, right? I mean, you guys, Pius can't decide if they want to be Class A, Class B, or Class C right now. At least y'all were consistent back in the day when you were playing that you were Class B, right?
That's right.
That's right. Something that probably not many Husker fans know, going to the Wayback Machine, like the probably earlier mid 90s, is, long before your Southeast career or Nebraska career, you had a very successful 3-on-3 team called the Bricks. And and I know that because I played against the Bricks several times. I don't think we ever got over the hump and got a W against the Bricks, but it was you and Barrett Rude and a couple of other guys on the Bricks.
Yeah, Nate Doney and Drew Schultz.
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
I mean, when you think about it, you got one, future Husker starter and one future NFL player just on 2 out of the 4 guys on the 3-on-3 team. That's a pretty solid team.
Well, and don't forget though too, when Barrett was twice the size of everybody else, we all weighed 100 pounds, in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and he was weighing about like $180, and just would bulldoze people.
Pure muscle.
If it was football or hoops.
So not then, but today, excuse me, today, who would win in a push-up contest, you or Barrett?
Oh, Barrett would.
Be honest.
He eats like a rabbit. Have you seen him? He weighs like 210 and is in shape and works out where I don't.
He looks like he could still put the pads on play, Jake. I mean, he might be like a strong safety now, but he could still play.
Oh, he could still play right now. Problem is his shoulder is so bad. I don't think he could catch anything. His shoulder only goes to about right. Just a little bit below where it can get to vertical.
All right. Well, who would win in a 3-point contest?
Oh, I would.
Okay.
There you go.
He can't shoot. He can't catch.
So even though you were 99 points short of 1,000, you would still win in a 3-point contest.
Oh yeah. Have you ever seen him shoot? Like he couldn't lift his arms above his head now. I would definitely win that one. Now,
all right.
Ask me golf. He would destroy me in golf.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You're a pretty good golfer, Mule.
Yeah, but Rudy's like a 2 handicap.
Dear
and
God.
Doesn't miss a fairway, where I'm like a 6 and can't find one.
Remind me not to play with you guys. Dear Lordy.
Hey, they'd have to give you a lot of strokes, Jeff.
That's true. That's true.
What are you, Geoff?
I'm a 12.
All right.
A 9-hole 12.
9-hole 12. So you want to throw me down for a 24?
There you go. Make sure you keep that part in there, Matty.
Yeah.
Well, Jake, the Nebraska basketball team starts 7-0 for what? The first time in over 20 years.
Yep, 30 years.
Excitement and hope are as high as they've been in a long time. Then the Big Red plays probably their worst game of the year in that blowout loss to Creighton. And then, of course, about halfway through the Minnesota game, it felt like they were bouncing back with vigor. And then the boys, blow a 15-point halftime lead and end up losing by double digits. Why can't Nebraska fans have nice things?
Oh man. Well, you guys are like me, where we've grown up in Lincoln, and we're all Husker blowhards. Let's just call a spade, right?
Absolutely.
And we grew up in the 90s, where we had some success on the hardwood, and also obviously we were pretty damn good in football at that time, right? And I think you look at this year and we all go, guys, dang, we're 7-0. The hype was there. We're hosting 14th ranked Creighton, and the place was electric.
It was.
And it was almost one of those days where, had we played better against them, we could have said, and let's say we won that game, it almost would have turned Nebraska into an instant basketball school. I mean, we just the people would have jumped on the bandwagon and would have been all in. And then we obviously don't play well. And then you go to Minnesota, like, all right, we got to bounce back. Don't let that carry over to this game on Wednesday this week. And we played probably our best half of basketball all year. The first half, we up 17 with a minute to go in the first half, and you go into halftime up 15, and then we played our worst half of basketball year, which I was talking to Pavelka yesterday and going, well, how in the hell did that happen? And it happened so fast, and it just snowball went downhill so quickly, we could never regain. And, some people, around the office here and talking around town are throwing the talent on this team, but I'm telling you, this team's still really good. And you saw it at Sioux Falls with the Pentagon against Oregon State. You saw it in the first half against Minnesota. How do we get more consistent? Because that's our problem, where we haven't had a game where we played really well both halves. We saw first half was amazing at Minnesota, second half sucked. But I'm not losing faith. I'm still all in.
We are too. We are too.
Gotta be. It's way too early. It's not like football where one loss will just crush you. Like it's a lot of peaks and valleys in a basketball season.
And Jake, you said consistency was one of the issues that they need to look at and address. Are there any other issues you think Huskers need to look into to get back on track and get us back to where we want to be?
Yeah, I think if you look at just our makeup of our roster, I think guys are still trying to find, their roles a little bit. And use KZ as an example. He was kind of coming in thinking he was going to get, 10 or 15 shots a game. He didn't make a field goal in Minnesota. But the guys just need to accept that, you might score 21 game and then 2 the next, and just as long as we're winning, who cares? I think they're trying to figure out how to play without taking a high number of shots, because you saw in the second half, KZ, he was trying to just kind of force some things up a little bit and get his shots up. And then when he did have an open one, he was so excited he was open, he almost rushed his shot and he couldn't make one, couldn't knock one down. I think they need to get back to that edge defensively too, where you saw the last 9 games last year when we weren't supposed to win any of those games. All we cared about was defense, playing physical and hustling. I think we just get back to the basics, the fundamentals, and not worry about scoring. I think we're trying too damn hard on the offensive end of going, we got to do this here. We got to, dribble handoff here, backdoor cut here. Just focus on the things we can control, and that's playing hard and playing physical.
Sure.
Well, Jake, we got, I'm kind of the guy that likes to flush a bad loss and move forward. So looking forward, we've got Sparty coming to town Sunday. Michigan State's coming to town. absolutely a traditional power. I mean, Tom Izzo, probably one of the greats of all time. They're coming in at 4-4 and unranked, but those losses are to Duke, Arizona, Wisconsin. We should assume that it's going to be a tough one, right? How do you like us matching up with them? How do you like our chances on Sunday?
I would have liked them a lot more if we would have won on Wednesday.
Right.
I say, or I would have liked them more if Michigan State would have taken care of business at home against Wisconsin, because I mean they're going to come in here. They're ranked 5th to start the year, and they're going to come in desperate. We're going to come in desperate, and I mean I think it's just going to be kind of a slugfest. They haven't shot the ball well at all, but every time I say that a team's shot it poorly, they're going to come in here and make 15 threes, and just
absolutely,
it's the curse of Nebraska basketball, unfortunately. And but talent wise, they're there. I mean, they're not ranked 5th for nothing in preseason polls, but they started off a little rocky, losing to James Madison in overtime at their place.
Yep.
They just haven't shot it well. I mean, they have the guys that can. Tyson Walker is the guy that's really only shooting it at a consistent clip from downtown. They had some really good freshmen, but I will say I'm actually excited to play them now in December rather than late February, because you mentioned Tom Izzo. His teams always kind of suck early, and then they get better and better and better as the year goes on, and they're always winning games in March.
Yeah, so, and then they're in the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight as like a 6 or 7 seed.
Yeah, everybody's going, well, they're not very good this year, and then they're Final Four.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're playing them early when they're still trying to figure things out. But Tom Izzo, I guarantee you, he mother effed them this week in practice. They're going to come in here mad.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But but Fred probably mother effed our team too, and we're going to come in here mad.
Yeah, that's a good. We kind of talked about. Look, it's early. Basketball season's a little bit more of a marathon versus a sprint, but nobody's better than Husker fans at some bedwetting. This is probably Fred's best and possibly last. Chance at getting to March Madness. Like, how important is this game? How badly do they need to win here, and not just for their psyche to get back on track, but for the sake of accomplishing what they want to accomplish this season.
Yeah, I kind of said on Wednesday against Minnesota that was a must win, and now this one's even a bigger must win, because a couple things, as you mentioned, you don't want to have a 3-game losing streak right now to start, and then you don't want to start off conference 0-2. You just can't.
Yeah,
and we have the pieces to do it, but it's a huge game. I think if you lose this game, then you turn around and go on the road to K-State. So obviously these 4 games at the start of December were going to kind of be our test to see where this team stands. So here's a big one coming to town. I hope the fans show up. I know fans were, left last Sunday upset about losing to Creighton at home, the rival, but I hope the fans show up. I mean, a 5:30 game on a Sunday, we need a big crowd, and I think that if we get back to the basics, I mean, they should have something to cheer for, and I think we can pull off a win. I mean, the Spartans are trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
So catch them at this time when they're still trying to figure things out and get our first conference win.
So Nebrasketball fans, get down to the rail yard at like 2-3 p.m.
Yes.
Get all, there's plenty of establishments around there. Get a little lubed up and get ready for Izzo and Sparty. We need all the common fans to be down there and be loud.
Get hydrated. We don't want fans cramping up in the stands. So get hydrated.
Right. Yep.
and come in there feeling good.
That's right. Jake's putting out the call to all common fans. So Husker fans always answer the bell. So we have to believe they will again. So Jake, this is your 6th year calling games, right? Is that right?
That's a good question. Yeah, it would be my 6th. The last year of Tim Miles, and all 5 of Fred's years. Yeah.
Okay. So what was that like? You played basketball forever, obviously, with a lot of success. Had you done anything in radio before taking over as the color announcer, or what was kind of that transition like?
I mean, 0. I mean, literally when Davison was still doing the color, they asked me to sub in for maybe 2, 3, 4 games a year, especially when the football overlapped hoop season. A lot of times during like the Thanksgiving break when they were going to Iowa and the hoops team had a tournament of some sort, I would fill in. So really, I was doing maybe 3, 4, 5 games a year.
Yeah.
When Davison was doing it, and then when he got his real job in the athletics office, when Frost got hired, they asked me if I wanted to do it. I'm like, sure. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing, but Kent Pavelka and I have a hell of a good time doing it.
Well, I mean, that's, we wanted to ask you about that. We're all the same age here. We all grew up in the same era, listening to Kent Pavelka call, Husker football games and basketball on the radio, and that was back in the day when only 3 or 4 football games were on TV. So you listen to a lot of them on the radio. And obviously, he called the games for those great Huskers dynasties teams. I mean, he's as much of a legend as I feel like some of the players we watched in those days. So what's that been like? I mean, did you know him at all, or what's it been like to get to know him better, to get to work with him and all that?
I mean, I knew him a little bit prior to, but I just got to know him so well the last, 10 years, where he is one of the best dudes around. I think he'll be either 74 or 75 this year. And I remember the first road game I did was with Miles subbing in for Davison. I went to Rhode Island, right? And he asked me to carry his bags for him. And I thought he was joking, but he was serious. And I kindly obliged. But I don't think he was doing it to be rude. It was just, hey, he's a veteran, he's a legend, and why not ask? So, but he's a great dude. He absolutely loves Husker basketball. I mean, you should have seen him before the Creighton game. He was probably as nervous as the players were. I mean, I'm being dead serious.
I could sense it in his voice.
Yeah, and he takes losses probably harder than some of the players do. I mean, he lives for this stuff, and I so badly want him to call Nebraska's first NCAA tournament win. I want to be sitting there with him. Yeah. So hopefully this can be the year, because it'd be so fun to watch him and just see what his call is.
Yeah, how many bangerangs and got it's are we going to get from Kent if we win a tournament game? I mean, my lord, I would pay. He might pass out.
Yeah,
or he might. Was it last year? He said was that Minnesota maybe, or somebody last year when he said he might stroke out? He said on the air.
Yeah. Well, I think it could have been Ohio State, but he wears an Apple Watch, and I bet it happened at the Creighton game. It alerts him. The emergency alerts think that he's fallen down because he's going so crazy that his emergency alert goes off on his watch. It's probably happened. It probably happened 5 times last year. It's happened once so far this year.
Get that man a life alert necklace for sure. You can't deny his enthusiasm, that's for sure. Is the dude just chugging Red Bulls before games, or is he mainlining 5-hour energy? Is he always like that, Jake, outside of games?
Always. And I don't think you'd want to give him caffeine. He drinks coffee in the morning, but I don't want to give him anything more before a game.
I got you.
He doesn't need any more energy than he already has.
Well, Jake, you told us the carrying the bag story. You got any other KP stories, any gems for us that can be shared over a public forum such as this?
Now I have good stories, but none that I should probably share. And it's more stories of him telling, life on the road in the 90s during football season. And he has some absolute gems. Now, he'll go out. He doesn't go out much on the road. He'll come out and meet me for a beer. Kent's probably close to 20 years sober, so he'll have a soda with me while I have a kickback, a few beers. But he's pretty low key on the road these days.
Do you still carry his bags?
Not anymore. I make him carry his own. I've moved past that stage.
Does he want to come on the Common Fan podcast and tell 90s Husker football stories?
Oh, I think he would love that. I think he would probably tell all the stories that are able to be told and not throw anybody under the bus.
All right. Well, we may ask for your help with that.
All right, I'm in.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, pivoting a little bit here, Jake Mule and I share something. We share a few things in common, but one of the things we share in common, it's been a part of Jake's life probably a little bit longer than me. I'm a little bit of a late bloomer, maybe my teen years and older, but we are both big fans of the greatest, for sure, the greatest American touring band in history.
Okay.
Possibly the greatest American rock band of all time.
Yes, and yes.
The good old Grateful Dead.
I thought you were going to say Def Leppard. Damn it.
Not today, Jeff.
No,
not today,
Jeff,
Devil.
no, Jeff. It's
Sorry,
not
Jeff.
Hanson. It's not Hanson, Jeff.
We are deadheads, Jeff, TJ. And I know Jake, I know Big Mule, your dad was a big deadhead, so I'm sure that's probably how it got into you, how the affliction got into you. First of all, how many shows has your dad been to? I know you saw the original Grateful Dead a number of times.
Yep, he's probably been to 75 to 100.
Good Lord.
Of the OG Dead, and I don't want to know any stories from his time at those shows right now. Maybe in a few years.
Yeah. Well, since so you're probably for you to get into it, it's probably you hearing something your dad maybe played around the house, or you knowing that your dad was a fan of it, right? Do you remember one song specifically, or maybe a couple of songs that kind of you heard your dad playing or something like that kind of piqued your interest and you said, I think I might like that?
Yeah, early on. I mean, if you go to my dad's basement right now, he probably has, I don't know, 1,000 1,500 vinyl records in his basement, and
same with mine.
He's got these huge Klipsch corner horn speakers that would blow your hair off your head if he has them maxed out. But I remember growing up, and I was probably 10, 12. I hated the Dead. I was like, stop playing this crap. But once I got to, like, I don't know, junior, senior in high school, I started to actually listen to them. And I'll probably say either China Cat or Franklin's Tower. Those two are the main ones I kind of go, oh, okay. And then you start going down the rabbit hole, and I am officially a deadhead, fortunately or unfortunately.
Yes, no, very, very fortunately.
Two questions there.
Okay,
Jake,
go ahead, Jeff. I got more on the Dead, Jeff. Okay. You go ahead,
I have something. Your father sounds a lot like mine. We have multiple vinyl records in the basement. Two questions. Did your dad ever play music early ass in the morning just to piss you off? Because my dad would blare classic rock in the morning just to upset me.
Yes.
And two, I try to get my dad to adapt to using like digital technology, like listening to music on like a phone or on a Bluetooth speaker. He'll have nothing of it. The sound is not the same as listening to it on a vinyl record, or it's not the same bumping out of like his stereo system receiver speakers. I can't get my head wrapped around it. For some reason, his ears think it sounds different in that regard.
Hey, same. And what's funny is he'll play primarily records at home. Very rarely will he ever stream anything at home. Mm-hmm. And so you're sitting at his house and all of a sudden the music stops because the record's over, right?
Yeah.
And now he will listen. Now my older brother got him on Spotify.
Oh, so my God.
He'll listen to Spotify in his car. But what my dad does, or he used to do, he hasn't done it recently, but he would burn 1,000 CDs. And I bet I have 3 copies of every album of the Grateful Dead somewhere in my house because he just burns all the CDs. But that has since stopped too.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no more. Nobody's burning CDs anymore. I miss a good mix, good mix CD. You don't need to do it anymore. It's kind of sad.
Yep. Yeah, we might need to get Mr. Muhleisen and Mr. Langenberg together for some, to compare notes and to listen to some music, maybe.
Having spoken with both of them, more Rhule Langenberg than Big Mule, I feel like they would get along very well.
I think that could be a really good bad idea.
Yeah,
really good bad idea. Yes. Well, Jake, I know you mentioned. I'm not done with the Dead yet. Jake, you mentioned China Cat, which is one of my personal favorites. The China Rider, China Cat, Sunflower, I Know You Rider. They always played I Know You Rider after China Cat. And then Franklin's Tower, another great one. But NBA Hall of Famer, well-known Deadhead, world traveler, and ambassador for good vibes, Bill Walton, is known to frequently say, it's all one song. But I want to know from you, Jake Mule, your favorite live dead, favorite studio dead, whatever it might be, a few more of your go-tos that you have. Something in the dead catalog that you could potentially listen to every single day.
Now, are you asking favorite live album, favorite live song, or all
any of it? I've got my favorite mass-produced live dead, and I've got like my favorite more like Dick's Picks, kind of more of a bootleg.
I mean, if I had to pick a song, which is almost impossible,
it is.
I'm going to pick two. I'm going to cheat and pick two. It's either Althea or Jackstraw. Okay?
Oh, yes.
Those are probably my top two. And those are probably and I say that because they're both good studio and both good live. So those are kind of there. If I had to pick studio album, I'll probably go Shakedown Street, which people could argue that, but Shakedown Street was one of my favorite when I was growing up as a kid too. And then live album, and I never pronounce this right, so don't make fun of me, is Go to Nassau.
Oh, yes.
However the hell you pronounce it.
There's a great Althea on that one.
Yep.
1980, I think it is.
Ish. Yeah.
Ish,
you probably know more
80-ish.
about it than I do, but that's the one live one that Big Mule burned for me that I listened to over and over.
That's a great one. Those are great picks, Jake.
Jake, did you ever listen to the Dead to get pumped for a basketball game, or did you keep that separate from your playing career?
No, I never did. It didn't really pump you up a whole lot.
I don't see that getting me jacked up at all.
Maybe like keep you mellow and even, right?
Yeah. I'm cruising around. I'm driving around teammates in my car, and they're listening to the Dead, and they absolutely hated it. So it made me love it even more.
I love it.
It's like you guys are speaking a foreign language here. Don't you guys listen to like Huey Lewis in the News or something like that?
Once in a while.
GF,
I know GF's kind of an 80s yacht rock and 90s gangster rap.
I don't know. GF
music catalog.
GF, there are songs beyond the Back to the Future soundtrack. Okay,
I don't know. You guys like Van Halen?
Well, Jake, we'll put a bow on it here and bring it back to Husker basketball. You know, how do you see the month of December playing out? You know, like you said, we're all this is a fan podcast, right? We're all homers, and we're all going to be true believers till the end. But you know, I think they've got a lot of good pieces to work with. I think they got 4 guys averaging in double-digit points.
Yep.
You know, I think they just kind of need to get back on track. So kind of what do you see for the month of December here, and how, you know, how do you see the next few games playing out?
I mean, I think if you look, we have 4 games left in December. I mean, honestly, we have to finish 4-0. I mean, it sounds early this season and that so many games left. We have 18 league games, 19 if you include Michigan State. But I mean, you gotta win at home, protect home floor. Beat Michigan State to start on Sunday, and watching K-State, they're up and down. They got went to overtime with Northern Alabama, but they beat Nova, so they played very consistently. So I think we can knock them off down in Manhattan, and then we have 2 cupcakes that just have to win. But you got to protect home floor. I mean, you look at the conference slate where you win 8 or 9 at home and go 8 or 9 and 1 at home, and then you got to win 2 or 3 on the road, and that's what makes you even more mad about that Minnesota loss. So that's one. You know, you're going through the schedule when it gets released. You go, that's a road game in conference that we can win and should win, and you know that I hope it doesn't sneak up to bite us. Where you know if we get to 18, 19, 20 wins before Big Ten tournament time, and then we have that glaring loss that could have kind of pushed us over the hump to potentially be a bubble team or get in the tournament.
Yeah.
So actually, your answer to that question made me think of another question. If you have time.
I have time.
Great. Well, I'm always curious, kind of the behind the scenes or the process, you know, that goes into like, you know, your job as the radio analyst. So I'm curious, you've always been a basketball guy, you know, going back to when we were kids. And so do you have to do a lot of homework on on sort of not just the Huskers, not just their opponents, but kind of what's going on in the college basketball scene? Or is this always just because you've always been a basketball guy? Have you always watched a ton of basketball and you just kind of know what's going on? Or like how much goes into prep for the games versus probably what you were already doing, right?
Good question. I would say the latter, where
Okay.
I mean, when we're at home, I've got basketball on, especially in conference play where we all know all the players, especially when you get into mid-January or mid-February. There's not a lot of prep that goes into it because we've seen the teams, we're playing them twice. But the ones that you have to actually try to read up on, Florida A&M. I mean, try to figure out where they're from.
You haven't been following Florida A&M this year?
I have not. The Rattlers is one of the best mascots around.
Huh.
But, I mean, that's the thing. Those are the ones that are hard to prep for. Where, and Kent does way more than I do. Where he's got especially with those lower tier schools where they don't even have names on the back of their jerseys. He knows them by their number, and he watches a lot more film than what I do. But prep wise, I'm just watching hoops all the time and watching the landscape of college basketball. And then, before a Houston Minnesota game, we get their media packet a day or two before, read that, takes 20 minutes, and I'm ready to go. Kent's the one he builds a spotting board, and I bet it takes him for each one maybe 5 hours to do all the stats on it.
Wow.
I'm just guessing. It could take less, but he has a lot more prep than what I do.
That's impressive. Do you ever jump in and run with the guys?
Oh God, no. I weigh 60 pounds more than I did my senior year in college. So no.
God, no. At least look, over Zoom it doesn't show.
Hey, it's all in the midsection. That's when my shoulders up, I'm golden.
I knew there was a reason that camera was strategically placed the way it was.
That's right.
Well, thanks so much for your time today, Jake. Matt, Jeff, you guys have any other questions?
I got one thing for Jake, because I know he's a on the football side of things, he's a common fan just like us. I mean, he's got kind of an inside seat to the basketball team, but he's a football common fan.
Well, and this is actually, this is technically a football podcast. We actually got a special waiver, special approval from the Common Fan Board of Directors to even talk to you today, Jake. So very exciting. Yeah.
Did the NCAA grant you a waiver? Because they're not very consistent on that either.
We got a waiver.
The NCAA is a whole separate issue. We can't really get into that right now.
So is the college football industrial complex. We'll enlighten you on that at another time.
Yeah.
There you go.
So my last thing for Jake is I want a way too early prediction for Nebraska football's record next season. Way too early. You can be on a record as one of the first, so you get it right.
Okay, we are going to win, and as the schedule even out, that's how bad I am. I haven't even seen it, but
yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It is.
We got USC, UCLA's on there. We got some good teams.
Okay,
so fun.
I will say we win 8 games next year.
There it is.
Love it.
8-4 in the new Big Ten. You heard it here first.
Yep.
Starting out 7-0, and then kind of limp to the finish line, but getting to a decent bowl game.
There you go.
Yeah.
Love it, Jake. Jake.
Yeah, Jake.
Are you drinking the Rhule Aid, Jake? Are you in on Coach Rhule?
I mean, I like what he's doing. I like his process and all that stuff. If you want to get on all the cliches, but I mean, we didn't have near the penalties. The turnovers sucked. Yeah. I'm drinking the Rhule Aid. Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Wonderful.
Good. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Nebraska basketball legend, even though he was 99 points short of 1,000 in his career, Nebraska basketball legend, Lincoln Southeast legend, and current Husker radio analyst, Jake Muhleisen. Thank you so much for joining the Common Fans. We really appreciate it. We will look for the Husker Hoops team to get back on track on Sunday against Michigan State. You heard Jake, Common Fans. He put out the call. Everybody get down to PBA.
Down there.
Get loud, help pull those Huskers across the finish line, help get them back on track. Last chance, boys. Anything else?
Jake,
Jeff?
just thanks for being a part of this. It's really awesome to have you. And as one, I played intramural basketball for Pius. I think I have 2 points to my name. So it's awesome to speak to another distinguished athlete like yourself. So thank you.
Likewise, Geoff.
Geoff, I think that 2 points hit the over for you, pal.
Yeah.
It was actually a 3-pointer, but the ref called my foot on the line. I was pissed.
They didn't go to the replay. They didn't go review it.
Yeah. That one's still waking you up at night.
Oh,
we didn't have review at the time at Flavin Gym over there at 6000 A Street for intramurals, Jake.
Oh, all right. Thanks so much as always, Common fans. Get out and support the Huskers on Sunday. GBR for life.